colleague Ajay Sharma is standing by with an interesting conversation with the management of Adani Energy Solutions. Ajay, over to you.
That's correct. Adani Energy Solutions is in focus after the results, and we have Mr. Anil Sardana, MD of the company, to talk more about the company the quarter gone by, the roadmap, and also new name which the company has adorned now. Mr. Sardana, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us on the show today. We saw that, at a console level, your numbers look pretty impressive. But at the same time, the profit from transmission segment was slightly on the softer side. What are the reasons behind that, and was this a one-off? Do you see this mean reverting in the coming quarters?
So good morning, and thank you for having me over. Yes, you're right. While the consolidated profit is higher compared to the previous quarter of the last year, the transmission segment had one-off 65 crores that had to be paid as dividend tax that we got from our subsidiary in Mumbai. So interestingly, in the consolidated, the revenue doesn't come, but the tax is still something that we have to account for. Those are methods that have been prescribed for accountancy, and therefore you see that 65 crore outgo. Otherwise, the profitability even at Adani Transmission in the transmission standalone business was good.
We have noticed that the company has a new name now, Adani Energy Solutions. Talk to us about the thought process. All the approvals have been received about this name change, and how did you decide the name Adani Energy Solutions in the first place? What exactly does it reflect about the future?
Right. So the company that was formed in January 2015, called Adani Transmission Limited, started its business in transmission, and as you know, today is the largest private sector transmission company in the country. However, over the last few years, the business has outgrown just transmission. It's now moved into retail distribution. Subsequently, we have picked up large orders on smart metering. And the wingspan actually started to move far and wide in terms of offering different solutions to customers. There's a tremendous focus in terms of providing solutions to such of the customers which today don't see competition in the retail last mile connectivity. So we, with our experience in Mumbai, where we have parallel licenses, have now applied for second distribution license in different geographies. In fact, 3 to be precise already, which are pending with the regulators at some stages. And therefore, considering the fact that we are no more just in transmission business, we thought that it is important that the name must reflect our activity. And we have therefore named it as Adani Energy Solutions Limited. And as the name suggests, we will offer all kinds of solutions, but more so for customers to source green power, or customers to look at reliability in terms of the fact that we will offer them competitive tariffs with reliability onus upon ourselves. If tomorrow their DG sets have to be run, we will run at our cost. So we'll provide them 24/7, almost all our distributors, almost like a distributor of choice. So therefore, energy solutions are there for beneficiaries to now look forward from this house.
Mr. Sardana, for Adani Energy Solutions, what kind of opportunity set do you see in transmission tendering pipeline segment of your business? And is it because there is a huge growth or transformation which is likely to happen in the next couple of years in the renewable side? How would that add to your growth?
Indeed, what you said is right. The government of the day has committed that they will move to 500 gigawatt of non-fossil power by 2030. From the current power, which is close to about 110 gigawatt, that's a huge capacity addition. Now, in India, we have adapted models by virtue of which solar farms as well as wind parks are all going to be either at the coastal locations or in the areas which are arid, where the lands can't be used by the habitat. So from those areas, the bulk electrons will need to be brought to consumptive areas. And therefore, the transmission, as will grow in the days ahead, is going to be humongous. In fact, it's a big opportunity set. And this company is positioned very well in terms of expanding in that area. So transmission pipeline, as you are already aware, we're sitting with almost 20,000 crore of orders in hand, which we have to execute over a period of next 2 to 3 years. And in addition, we find that there'll be 75,000 crore of pipeline that is just for us to participate in terms of bidding in the next few perhaps quarters. So therefore, a big set of opportunities in the transmission area.
Sardana, the other thing which the government is also aiming towards is plugging the T&D side of the losses in the power sector. And smart metering opportunity, we've seen some announcements happen in the past as well to some of your other peers. But what is your own tally looking like in terms of smart meter wins, and how big or meaningful can this opportunity be in your overall strategy for energy solutions?
So as we talked while talking about the name change, one of the key areas is to locate and ultimately work in those areas where we eventually have our eyes set for us to take over the distribution in due course of time once it opens up. And to that cause, smart metering gives us a very good foothold to get into some of those areas by understanding the entire paradigm of customer base, understanding that market. We have already in the last few months got 3 orders for close to about 46 lakhs meters, which is 4.6 million meters, and close to about 5,800 crores of rupees worth of orders. Now, this is just the beginning, and we are going to be one of the largest players. I've mentioned that before, that Government of India has plans to put something like 250 million meters amongst various players, and we are targeting 15 to 20% of that market. So it's a huge market. It gives us good foothold in areas to understand the customer data, understand those areas well. By virtue of putting smart meters, not only that we get familiarized with those locations, but we actually get familiarized with the entire geography and the network management. Therefore, it puts us in the pole position for us to expand eventually and acquire the wires in those areas.
Mr. Sardana, talking of expansion, also talk to us about what kind of Capex have you lined up. We understand you've also applied for parallel licenses in several geographies. Which are those geographies? If you could talk about slightly elaborate expansion and Capex plan put together.
Right. So Adani Energy Solutions will do a Capex of something like 7,000 crores plus minus 500 crores each year. And that will include right now the majority of transmission businesses. And of course, the network expansion and the Capex that we will do at Mumbai distribution and at the distribution in the Mundra area. In addition to that, we will do rollout of smart meters. And of course, on the second license that you mentioned, this is an area that I want to elaborate, as you rightly suggested. We have applied for licenses in 3 areas. One is to expand our Mundra operations to the entire Kutch, Saurashtra area. So that is the second license in that area that we have applied for. That's pending with the Gujarat regulatory authorities. The second license that we have applied for is for Navi Mumbai area, which of course, as you know, is a contiguous geography to Mumbai area where we operate for past several years. And that again is something that we are expecting the regulators in the Maharashtra Regulatory Commission to deal with. And the third license that we have applied for is in the Western UP area, which covers the entire area from Ghaziabad all the way to Jewar, Bulandshahr side. And that's with the UP Regulatory Commission that is there. And I want to make one additional point here. Many of the listeners and consumers must bear in mind that by way of second licensee, you are actually getting nothing on the platter. You are supposed to lay down your network, and you have to be competitive compared to the existing distributor, because the existing tariff becomes the ceiling tariff. And therefore, whenever you get to hear that the existing regulators and existing discoms are panicking because somebody has applied for second license, that clearly shows that they are not up to their performance. Because you're going to get nothing from them except that you will go back to the customer and say, I'm going to be more competitive than the incumbent. And therefore, to us, this should be opened up. This should rather be promoted by regulators and the governments of the day, because it offers customer that choice as it exists in Mumbai. And one has seen that in cities, in areas which are semi-urban, like we have shown in Delhi, we have shown in Mumbai, the private players are able to offer much better and nimble services. And in this case, the yardstick is the incumbent's tariff. And therefore, unless the new player is more competitive than the incumbent, you don't get business. So therefore, this should be promoted by the movement of customers. This should be promoted by the governments of the day. This should be promoted by the regulators. I thought I'll use your medium to communicate this to the larger audience.
Sardana, just one last word on some of the initiatives which your company may have taken in the area of ESG. I understand that the group is very committed and continuously making progress on that glide path on the ESG front. Talk to us, what's the latest happening there?
Very well said. In fact, the ESG commitment of the entire Adani Group stays much ahead of the other corporates that we see in our area of business. Let me talk about Adani Energy Solutions. We have aspiration to take this company to within the top 10 to 15 global corporates. So, and when I say this, I'm talking in terms of this to be valued and accredited by international and global brands. I'm very happy to tell all your listeners that FTSE, which is one of the large accreditation agency, has recently given a score in 2023, which actually puts us within the top 10 global companies in our utility business. The commitment with regard to environment, commitment with regard to the social paradigms, the commitment with regard to different aspects of governance at the board level, as also with regard to transparency, has to be reflected and put in the public domain. Because many of these agencies don't come back and ask us questions that we will have time to address and respond. We have to put the data in public domain. That means through our website, through our annual reports, and based on that, they do the evaluation. So on the ESG front, in all these three areas, with respective environmental aspects, respective social touch with the community at large, respective commitments to the various norms of governance, in all fronts, the team is completely committed to set new benchmarks. And we are very happy that different recognitions are coming thick and fast. During the last quarter, we got the ET company award as one of the emerging companies. And there have been several other similar international awards with regard to aspects which are key frameworks towards ESG. So it's important to mention that we will be one of the benchmarks not only in global context, but be a torchbearer for various companies in India.
And we wish you all the luck and best wishes for those initiatives, Mr. Sardana. Thank you very much for chatting with us on the results and road ahead and other important initiatives which shareholders need to know about, which you've spoken to us today. Thank you very much for your time. Guys, at that, it's